Hello, this is Alex with CursusDB, and today I'd like to go over CursusDB's node backup and node read replica functionality, synchronization functionality. So we're going to be setting up a local setup here with a cluster and a node, and then we'll set up a read replica for the node, and we'll also set up backups for the main node. Okay, and you can also set up backups for the read replica, and we'll go over all that. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do, I'll just clear my terminal here and just make a directory for YouTube, example, sync, I'll say node, I'll say CursusDB, node backup, replica, sync, and we'll just, it's kind of long, so we'll just cd inside there. Okay, so now once we're in our directory here, we'll just go to the documentation on Cursus, and we'll go to the downloads piece and we'll follow along. The reason I do this is just to give you an idea of how you should be kind of working with CursusDB. It's always good to follow along with the documentation, especially when you're learning it, right? You know, if you know the URLs by heart and everything by heart, then go right ahead, right? But it's always easy to make a mistake, so it's good to just follow along until you have it really in the palm of your hand, right? You have a good understanding. So let's get the cluster here, Cursus. Let's extract it. And the way I'm going to have this set up, right, is I'm going to have the cluster and the node in one directory, and then we'll make another directory for the replica. Okay, so we'll just say node read replica, and we'll open up another tab here, and then we'll cd inside there, and we'll have two directories, a few tabs open here, working simultaneously. So let's clear that. So now we have our read replica directory. All right, so back to the Cursus here. So what we're gonna do next is open up another tab for the node. So we'll clear this here, and we'll go to cluster node. We'll extract it, clear, LSA. So now we should have a node and a cluster. Okay, so sweet. Let's set up the node here. So I'll say corrode, provided a key, and as you can see, the node is started. Okay, so I'm gonna shut down the node though, and I'll show you why in a second. So the reason we're gonna shut down this node is to edit the corrode config, right? So we can input the replica node that we're gonna have set up. So let's shut down the main node. Let's go to the node read replica folder that we created, and let's get the same kind of binary here for version 2.13 of the node. Let's extract it, clear. So now we should have the corrode inside the read replica directory. So let's run corrode with a, well, first let's just start it and set up a key, and then we'll end it. And then we'll restart the replica with a new port of 7683. Okay, so now it started on the port 7683, as you can see, the replica. Okay, so now what I'll do is I'll go nano.corrodeconfig. And under replicas, what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm gonna write host. I'm gonna say 0.0.0. I'm gonna say port is 7683 because that's where our replica is. Okay, so we'll copy that, we'll save that. Okay, so now we can start our main node. Okay, so it's essentially tied to that read replica now. So now we'll go back to the cluster, and now we haven't started a cluster yet, so we'll start it up for the first time. Set up a user, set up a password, set up a key. We'll clear that. We'll do nano.cursusconfig. Now, up here we have the nodes, so we'll set up the main node and the replica. So we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll do host is that. We'll say port is 7682 for the main node. And we'll say replicas And then 1, 2, 3, 4, host, 1, 2, and the replica will have a port of 7683. Okay. So now let's start up our Cursus. So as you can see, Cursus connected to the replica and it connected to the main node. Okay. Awesome. So now we have the node set up with our read replica. All right. Now, well, before we carry on, I'm going to shut down the cluster. I'm going to shut down the main node, and I'm going to shut down the read replica. And the reason why is I want to go over the CRUD config here. Okay, so as you can see over here, we have a replication sync time. The replication sync time is in minutes. Okay, so right now it's every 10 minutes it'll sync to the read replicas. All right, and over here it's a replication sync timeout. So as your nodes get larger, you might want to increase this. Right now it's 10 minutes. But as your nodes increase, they get to 100,000, a million documents within, multiple collections. You might want to, put this up to like 120 minutes, or, depending. Really, you have to monitor and see how long it takes to shut down a node with that data, and then determine your replication sync timeout. You can even just set this very large, right? It doesn't really matter, but 10 minutes is by default. You can set it very set this to be like 300 minutes. Really, right? Because on replication, when the node and the node replica are syncing data, right, there is ways for the node and node replica to time out, right? So if it's taking too long, this is what that's for. So if it's taking like 10 hours, then you can say, okay, after 10 hours, timeout. It's too long to synchronize data to one node to another node, for example. But for this example, what we're going to do here is we're just going to say replication sync time to every 1 minute, okay? Just so we can see how it works, how the node and the node replica sync data together. And what we'll also do is under the main node, we'll set up automatic backups to true, and we'll say every 2 minutes, give us a backup, okay? Now, you might also see down here that it has a backups directory. Now this is the default. So what this is saying is, okay, where your corrode is, where your corrode executable is, your binary executable, we're going to create a backups directory. Okay, but you can also say, okay, make it like test backups, and the system will create all these directories, right? So if they don't exist, so you can imagine like a make dir all on Unix if you use Unix, but yeah, it'll make all the directories there. All right, so with that, so we have the backups configured, we have read replicas, we have a replication sync every minute. So let's get this going here. Let's save that. And what I'm also going to do here is open up another terminal and go to qrush. Okay. Now, so let me go cd qrush, and we're going to connect to that local cluster, and we're going to insert some records to actually have some documents and a collection to replicate over to the sync, to the read replica, and obviously some data for the backups, right? And we'll also go over the recovery of how a node recovers on that. Okay, so yeah, let's start up CRUD. Oh, so as you can see here, we have an error. It says 207 could not create automatic backups directory. That's no problem. So for this example, I'll just do a sudo. I'm on my own system, so that's okay. So I'll just do sudo. I'll start up the read replica, and now I will start up Cursus. Now under qrush, I'll say, okay, qrush, let's go to the local cluster. Let's sign in, and let's insert some posts here. So insert into posts, title, test post, body, hello world, and we'll insert that document. I'll say test post 2, test post 3, test post 4, test post 5. Now let's do a select count from posts. We have 5 posts, so let's do a select all from posts. Okay, we have all our 5 posts. Now let's watch what's going to happen here. So as you can see, let me attach this terminal so you have a good idea of what's going on. All right, so as you can see, the node, the master node, said, okay, we're going to sync out to that node replica, and it said 107, give you a 107 status code, read replica synced successfully. And on your read replica, right, you can see over here, so 216 starting sync with master node, will give you the address. Then it says handle client connection, and so it's done within that method. It's 217 synced up with the master node. So what that means is now the read replica is synced up with the master node. I'm going to give you an example of how this works. Okay, so we're going to wait for this other sync to happen here, so we can watch it with some data. Show you how the read replicas work here. Just wait for that to sync. So there we go. It's synced up the data. Now what we'll do is we'll say select count from posts. So as you can see, currently it's calling the main node, right? So what we're going to do is we are going to kill the main node. Okay. So this is the main node. Let me make sure it's the main node. Yep. So now we killed the main node. The main node at 7682 is not running. Let's go count. And as you can see, Cursus is calling the replica instead. Okay, and the replica is synchronized. So no problem. We have the count of 5. Now let's turn on that master node again. Do it again. Wow. So there we go. The master is being called, right? Instead of the replica. So that's how the replication works, right? With a read replica and a master node. All right. So now let's look at another piece here. If you were looking at the logs, you might have seen this piece. Node backup data written to file successfully. Now this doesn't have a file. This doesn't really have a status code. Okay, not yet at least. But so the node backup was written to a file. All right. So let's see how this works. Let's start the let's end the master node. Let's ls. Okay. It might have went somewhere else, that backup directory. Where is it? Uh-oh. It looks like the backup directory went in the main directory. One of my main home directories. So let me see here. CD backups. Oh, so it did do that. That's fine. All right. So as you can see, we have one backed up CDAP file. Okay. So this is the backed up data that we have here in that post collection, and it could have, you know, really all your collections and all your documents, right? But for this example here, we have one CDAP. Now, what if the main node, right? And as you can see, we have one CDAT, and this CDAT is a good CDAT, right? It's not corrupt. Everything is good. Now, let's just say, for the sake of this example, that if we go nano into that CDAT, okay, as you can see, it's all encrypted. There's nothing plain. It's all encrypted with your shared key. But let's just say that we type some stuff in here and we corrupt this file. We're going to watch the master node recover itself with the latest working backup. Okay, so let's start that node. There we go. I said 215 attempting automatic recovery with latest backup. And as you can see that the data file was corrupt, the master CDAT file, and it attempted a automatic recovery and it was able to recover itself. All right, so now if we go back and we say, oh, let's go to QRush here. QRush. We say select count. There we go. We have our 7682 with our post because it recovered the backups. So that's how the node, the master node to read replica works. That's how the automatic backups work, and that's how the recovery works, the node recovery, node or replica node recovery. So now I want to show you one more thing. So if we go to nano.corrode config, oh, did I spell it wrong? Corrode. Oh my gosh. Okay, so corrode config. So I want to go over a few things here. So this line here, max memory, this is the amount of memory that you're giving your node to use for document storage, right? So default is 10 gigabytes. Um, there's one more piece here in regards to backups I want to show you. This automatic backups cleanup. So if we enable this to true, Corrode will remove all backups that are older than 12 hours. So essentially, if we have, let's create automatic backups, and let's say every 60 minutes, right? So at the end of the day, you'll have 24 backups, okay, essentially for that one node. So if we enable automatic backup cleanup, it'll remove all the backups that are older than 12 hours, or you can say 24 hours, or older than 1 hour, etc. Okay, and yeah, so that's about it with for this video, and hopefully you got a lot out of it. And you can really see how easy it is, very easy it is to set up backups and read replicas on CursusDB. So that's about it for this video, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.